What's up? So what we have done for you today is something a little bit unique. It is the recontextualization of the logo for Dinky Tehc, which in essence, the two eyeballs on the logo of the face have always meant to stand for black holes in space. Oh yeah, one side is a black hole, the other side is the sun. But upon seeing something more recently, there's something that causes a significant generation of energy in the universe by two black holes being connected and being with each other in essence, so that therefore is the example that we'll try to go with and transpose the mentality into today. A black hole sun is what is inside of the logo, because one of the eyeballs is empty and one of the eyeballs is full, and that is also a yellow eyeball on the other side that is full. So that is the sun side, and the other side is the black hole side, and that is the black hole sun. Oh yeah, for sure. But since the two eyeballs are interestingly similar and we have a parallel to draw today to be able to connect it with the Dinky Tehc logo, as well as the example which we're drawing from in the longer tail of today's podcast. Yeah, welcome to the news. Oh yeah. What I was going to say is that since that's what the analogy is in a later aspect of the podcast, that we're also trying to talk about two black holes that are next to each other as an energy generator. Oh yeah. Since that was an example that I saw a couple days ago. And the reason why we're going with this, is because in essence this example does its best to illustrate what we're trying to in essence do with Change4Games Studios as a company, as a brand, as a whole. Because about 2 days ago I tried to draw the quick example of developing a pro shop, and that pro shop was connected to an ice rink, and today we have completed the ice rink for you. Oh, so what that is indicative of, what that is trying to infer in essence, is the existence that therefore thereof there inside is a field for all folks to be able to play on. It is something, and now it's known as a completed item. It has been finished, and that ice rink is parallel to that example of a generator in space of two black holes generating massive amounts of electricity. Oh yeah, that's at least the overkill type of example, type of concept that we want to bring forth into this conceptual mindset, so that in essence it's quite clear that the interest is for all things that are Change4Games Studios to convey and relate to and reflect upon the global giving games. Oh yeah. And what that's indicative of is the ice rinks. There's two ice rinks, for example. It's very common to have two ice rinks within an ice rink situation building, for example. So in this instance we have two ice rinks as well, and those also will stand for the eyeballs that are for the logo for Dinky Tehc, for example, in the black hole sun example. But in this instance, we're talking about the two black holes next to each other because we're trying to generate significant electricity. And in this instance as well, we're trying to also repurpose and recontextualize and reconfigure the two ice rinks, for example. And again, we talked about the pro shop a couple nights ago for an ice rink. That is like the size of a sports chalet, because we're trying to develop all kinds of different items to be able to sell within that pro shop, on the way out of the pro shop, on the way out of the field, on the way out of the mindset. The mindset is the field. The mindset is a transposition of Dinky Tehc in of itself as a symbol. Dinky Tehc is an energy. Dinky Tehc is a mindset as well. It's something that's worn like actual clothes when you're within the conceptual realm of Change4Games Studios, which is in essence the realm of the actual conceptual game playing arena, which is in essence indicative of an ice rink that has two rinks, obviously, because those are the two eyeballs that are the two black holes that are a significant suction engine system that generates significant gigawatts or whatever watts of electricity that it generates. In a similar fashion, it's meant to parallel Change4Games Studios, because in essence we're trying to take the framework of something that's similar to a company called Touchlight Innovations, and a different company that's in Japan or whatever that's out there that's uses steps on being stepped on to be able to generate electricity, and that's there's a couple of examples. One's, two different places, and so regardless, that in essence energy is indicative of the mentality for the Change4Games Studios future, where we're trying to in essence conceptualize the actual gamification of the business world and of itself today, and recontextualize and repurpose it so that in essence we're cleansing monetary energy and into philanthropy energy. And we're trying to do that by in essence taking the example of using the Touchlight Innovations type of panels where energy is produced by being stepped on it, and making electricity by then having an ice rink, where we're conceptualizing this analogy to have an ice rink so that when it's skated on or when it's played upon, for example, which is like the whole world, so this is an analogy for the whole world as an ice rink, so that in essence when it's played upon, when the energy is there, that it's recontextualized, it's repurposed, it's re-put back into the world. Oh yeah, but that's also monetary energy and philanthropy energy coming through the pipelines together at the same time, and it's being recontextualized and repurposed and repushed back into the system, under the ground like the pipes of a ice rink, for example, keeping an ice rink frozen. But in this instance of ice hockey, for example, what we're talking about is a different type of ice hockey. It's actually water in this instance because it's warm weather hockey, and so everybody floats actually above this ice rink. It's a new age world, so that's just like you have to use your imagination, but so it's just an analogy as well for Change4Games Studios, where we're repurposing energy, and in essence this ice rink that spans the whole world is played with games on it, and it's also a mindset that has to be worn to begin with. Just like when you walk into an ice hockey rink, you change your mindset in essence, and you also change your actual clothes at the same time before going and playing hockey in a more significant way, and you're wearing gear which is indicative of, things that are sold in the pro shop, that are all types of ways that the mentality could shift in the ways that gear can transpose into the business world in essence. So in essence we're attempting to reframe the elements and the essence of business in of itself. The essence of business is as a game in of itself, and we're redirecting it to a different market pool of energy, so that the whole context and mentality, that's almost like what Dinky Tehc is. Dinky Tehc is as a symbol in of itself, as well as like a market that it's transposing with the nature of what markets are known as what they are today, and it's standing as the market in of itself. Dinky Tehc it's kind of switching places with the market and the pool. Oh, this is getting complicated. Pools are on one side, and then poles go into pools, just like a fishing pole goes into pools. Okay, so in this instance we're talking about Dinky Tehc is usually the pole that's within the pool that is Change4Games Studios, but in this instance, this crazy example, we're talking about Dinky Tehc being a reflection of the pool, for example, because in this specific example where we're talking about the ice rink, we're kind of switching places just to try to kickstart the engine. That's how a black hole sun works, I guess, also, is to kickstart the engine of Dinky Tehc and Change4Games Studios by kind of having them swap places in the mentality sense, because Dinky Tehc stands for the mentality, and this is to kickstart the engine in essence, and this is what a black hole sun is all about as well, is making these crazy types of energies. But we're picturing Dinky Tehc as the eyeball, as the hole, as the pool, in essence, for the market to be able to sit with and switch places and start the engine for Change4Games Studios with, in essence. So what that means is Change4Games Studios is in essence the market, it is in essence the place, but it's the place, it is the pool, it is the market, it is where everyone would be swimming in. But in this analogy example, the two are swapped. Dinky Tehc is the pool, and Change4Games Studios is the pole within the pool, because Dinky Tehc is the origin in this instance. So just in this example, for example, it's the origin energy, foundational energy, so it's the eye, it's the eyeball. It is the pool in this example because it's trying to jumpstart the actual actions to exist within the Dinky Tehc and Change4Games Studios world to become real and realized, for example. So this has to swap it, so it causes almost like an electrical reaction, almost like if you swap the two sides of a battery, pulls the polarity, and then it can explode. So that's what we're trying to do here, I guess, in a peculiar analogy sense, just like that. For example, oh yeah. So we're trying to use Dinky Tehc as the eyeball in this instance, and that's the pool, and that's where infinity lies in this infinite example, or example of just trying to jumpstart these energies. And in this instance, Change4Games Studios, which is the ice rink, is more of a finite place, but it's trying to expand and explode into a universe by transposing, in this example, within this podcast, transposing and flipping places with Dinky Tehc as the energy to begin with, and the pool is in the pole, and the pole is in the pool. So the pole, which is the fishing pole, is right now within the Dinky Tehc realm in this example, because we're trying to, in essence, have the ice rink actually become an analogy for the whole entire world, which right now is just an analogy for an ice rink because it's a finite example, and we're talking about, going inside of the ice rink and changing clothes and such things, whereas Dinky Tehc is also a mentality, and that's why, some of the clothes and the pro shops, tools and things like that you can buy physically in the physical realm from the pro shop of Dinky Tehc goods and services that are available, which we have print-on-demand clothing, for example, that's available for sale right now. All of that, for example, this is getting too complicated. I'm sorry for that, actually. It's a little complicated-ish, more so than it needed to be, but nonetheless, we'll try to keep going so that, in essence, when the transposition can happen, once it's flipped and flopped, in essence, the Change4Games Studios is within the pool of Dinky Tehc, and so if we can get that to explode, we want Dinky Tehc to then become a character within the Change4Games Studios world and obviously be a player within the ice rinks that is in the world, once this actually starts. But for this example, we're trying to look at Dinky Tehc, or the ice rinks, which is Change4Games Studios, and this analogy example, which is small, it to be within the energy which is Dinky Tehc. Dinky Tehc is the fundamental energy, so that's how we're trying to spark to make this a little bit of an explosion, so that we can try to start things off. So in this instance, that's what we're going for, and so the energy is greater within Dinky Tehc than in this analogy of the ice rink, for example. So we're trying to explode right now the ice rink to be able to be bigger and be as big as the size of the world. So once we put the energy within the focus of Dinky Tehc is the eye, and then we put the fishing pole that is the ice rink's analogy, that is an analogy which we're trying to explode inside of the eye of Dinky Tehc as the energy, then that's, in essence, once we're finished here with all the other past podcasts, supposed to ignite and spark and make the explosion, so that the size of the two ice rinks in this analogy of the Change4Games Studios as that analogy is supposed to explode and become the actual size of the actual world. And so that's why it's also an analogy, but we're also trying to realize it by realizing it within this podcast, by making that peculiar chemistry example and doing this peculiar chemistry experiment to try to make the ice rink analogy become a reality, because we're exploding it and making it real big by making it real big within this podcast. So that's the illustration of how to illustrate it using the projections of the print-on-demand mindset as well, to be able to print on demand just through a podcast something to become real, hopefully through this energy equation, fictitious, visualization that hopefully can result in a realization in essence. So going forward, the realization is that the ice rink has plugs and is a transposition to be able to functionally turn all the energy that is monetary energy as well as philanthropic energy into more philanthropic energy, into pipes that are underneath the so-called ice rinks that are also transposition of an analogy for two black holes that are continually generating electricity in a significant way in this instance, in this example, because all of this energy in the world that people are going to now be playing games for change is we're trying to also transpose and flip all of the games of business that are being played on the day-to-day basis now and transpose those all into philanthropy energy. So for right now, the machine in of itself, the machine that is Dinky Tehc or Change4Games Studios and these ice rinks, is accepting monetary energy and philanthropy energy to be able to combine and mix the two underneath the ice rinks. The ice rink is an analogy for the system that is underneath the ice rink that keeps an ice rink frozen. Because underneath an ice rink, there are pipes to keep an ice rink frozen. So that's an analogy of the systematization of being able to develop the systematization for philanthropy energy and monetary energy to be able to connect and chemically develop these ice rinks to be able to stay just like ice, so that they can continue to be able to to have games played on them across the whole world, except obviously the whole world is not cold, and we want to conceptualize a warm world, in essence, warm in all ways. So it's just going to be water. Water is the start of this, and water is also what we found a source for today. So that's a separate analogy. Also Games for Change, which is a different analogy. My voice is still lost, by the way, so I'm not really singing. I'm just kind of trying to push it along, although I could try to do a bit more singing. But nonetheless, we're talking about Games for Change. I was also talking about Games for Change. Games for Change is worth acknowledging and recognizing, because that's a festival that happens in New York. And this is a little side almost commercial for Games for Change. Oh, yeah, it's a little side commercial for Games for Change. Yeah, before I get sidetracked. I'll go back to the ice rink. Well, the Games for Change festival is coming up later this June. Oh, yeah. I've been there before. It'd be cool to go there again. I don't know anything about that. Anyways, we're back to the ice rinks. So, yeah, underneath the ice rinks is basically, there's the systematization of all philanthropy energy and monetary energy that we're trying to transpose into that. So, how we're going to do that? That's what we're getting to now, is how we're going to try to do that. So first, I was talking about reframing the markets, all of the markets of the game of business. The game of business is a game. It's an actual game. It's a game of business. So that's why you also had to plug Games for Change Festival, because this is an actual game, the game of business, and we're trying to also make a new game with this by the end of this podcast, which is the Change4Games Studios game. It's the fundamental beta for Change4Games Studios as a functionally gameable game within our world. And so how we're going to do that is by shaving off and changing the nature of the game of life into using spiritual finance. Spiritual finance is the gateway, is the first tool within the gift shop, or the whatever you call it, the pro shop, that is the Change4Games Studios ice rink, because spiritual finance is an item which is free, by the way, and it also corresponds and correlates directly to the Dinky Tehc energy that's also within the Dinky Tehc, the Change4Games Pro Shop, and both of them are free. And there's one is within the other also, by the way. The energy of Dinky Tehc is within spiritual finance. So spiritual finance is a book. It's available within the it's a fake book, but it's within the Pro Shop of the Change4Games Studios ice rink. And so anyways, it's there for you. It's free. It's called this podcast. It's also, FYI, called this podcast. It's been rolled out in every single one of these podcasts every day. It's spiritual finance. Spiritual finance is the thing that helps people to be able to shed and shave waste. There's so much waste in the world. Monetary energy waste, and people's time waste, and energy waste in all different ways. So spiritual finance is the way to shave off those minutes and recontextualizing, repurposing that energy to re-put it back into the system, which is underneath the ice rink. This ice rink is again an analogy for the world and all the games in the world that are also known as business sports. So this is now Business Sports 2.0. That is also called Change4Games Studios, and we're using spiritual finance to be able to recontextualize business, to be able to change the world for better. Change4Games, and using spiritual finance to, in essence, be able to get people to shave all of their and change all of their understanding and mentality using Dinky Tehc, which is a mindset and an energy at the same time, aka spiritual finance. And both of those things combined is Dinky Tehc. It's a mindset. And then, so at the same time, being able to wear that mindset, just like when you're inside of an ice rink, you wear your clothes, you wear your hockey, your ice skates, and all the things. When you're on an ice rink, it's an analogy to transpose that in transposition to be able to come to the conclusion that now the rink is open. The rink is finally open, and we are done almost with this podcast, but the rink is open now, and this analogy makes it so this stretches across the whole world, and the ice rink transposition concept and metaphor just stretches across the whole world, and now the whole world is a Change4Games world, except everybody floats, and so it's a different game. It's a dry land game of hockey. Everyone's playing it though, and all of their clothes and things are transposed into this world, and the way that it is played is by acknowledging spiritual finance to be able to shave out the waste, cut out the waste, so that all time, energy, and monetary energy, which is money, is able to repurpose into philanthropy energy under the systematization underneath the ice rink, which is keeping the ice cold in a metaphorical sense, because it's a warm ice rink, but it's keeping the ice rink cold so that everybody can now repurpose energy into this underneath the ice rink, so it can go to all people as free money, basically almost like a monetary energy and philanthropy energy coin, like a new cryptocurrency. For example, at the end of this podcast, it's a fake or whatever real cryptocurrency from this podcast being realized through the combination of monetary energy and philanthropy energy at the same time. It's real now. It's realized now. It's because of this podcast realization through these two ice rinks that are also analogies for the two black holes that are constantly generating this energy through significant means, using people as all the contributors to this monetary energy that goes into the systematization that is underneath the rink, the ice rink, that is underneath the ice rink, that is a metaphor for the world now, and everybody in the world is playing on top of this world to be able to make new philanthropy energy and combining old monetary energy by using the systematization of using spiritual finance to be able to shave out waste, cut out waste, knock off waste, and make all purposeful time, energy, and money, meaning monetary energy into repurposed energy underneath the ice rink where it goes and flows to be able to make the whole systematization go on a consistent basis. And it's repurposed for everybody in the world to be able to float upon. And this is it's a fake but real bank account for everybody to be able to pull from in the whole world. It's for every single human being that's alive at all given times, recycling, repurposeful energy that's existing and exists for all people to withdraw from and deposit to in an ongoing cyclical sense. And that is what Change4Games Studios is. And it is now open. It's open for business. We're open. We've got the pro shop open. That's the sports chalet shop in the sky that is available and open, as well as the ice rinks are available and open in the sky, and everybody is now playing the Change4Games Studios world. So welcome to Change4Games Studios and Dinky Tehc, and thanks for having us. And hopefully it makes sense enough, and we'll try to elaborate on it later. And thanks again. For now, Dinky Tehc. Peace. Bye.